They're guys. They do magic. They are the Magic Guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe it. Can you? We're up to episode 236 of the Magic Guys, where we interview professional magicians. We talk about our busy lives, and I almost stumble over my words. But to my left, we got Nick K.
Coming at you live, where mistakes will happen and we will not erase them because no one's perfect unless you are the guy who's about to speak.
Nanu. I'm doing the Mork tonight. Or I could do the Cena. It's up to you.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm Doug Kahn, and I'll be your Magi wrestling Mork tonight. Man, I'm struggling, fellas.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
We're live.
How weird must it be to be Cena, by the way? And like, it's a thing for fans to pretend like they can't see him. That's got to be a interesting exchange, you know? For those who don't know, that's a part of his character, is that he can be invisible in quotation marks. And yes, fans will pretend like they can't see him. And I saw a clip of Jake Paul doing that when they met him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't actually know that he's the fourth member of the Magic Guys. He's been in every episode ever since. In fact, he's here right now. Say hi. Thanks, man. So, like, he's been around for a while. He's been crashing on my couch.
You would think magicians would be better liars.
Yeah, and you know what? And I can't believe that, like, of all magicians, like, why don't they have that? Like, you kind of like, why isn't Dynamo's thing like this? But erroneous. Look. The people who are here are the folks in the chat. We have Tongi Lam, thank you for being here. Thomas Conger, good to see you, buddy. Tim Askin, good to see you. Scotty Luke, good to see you, friends. Again, we do have a chat and comments, so please, if you have any questions for our guest today, pop them in there. If there's no other bits of business for us to talk about, shall we jump into it, friends?
Yeah, look, I'm excited for this. Now, he is maybe the reigning champion of most been on the podcast guests. I got those words out. He's the guy that I talk about in my show. I literally say at the start of my show, the reason I wanted to become a full-time magician is because I saw this guy and he had a coin. And this is the guy, my friends, who you're going to see. He's been a professional magician longer than I've been a professional magician. And he first started in Australia. Then he went back to his country in Vietnam, where he just blew up and became a celebrity, starring in movies over there, being a celebrity magician, having TV specials come out. And now he's got this amazing magic show that's tied into the folklore of the culture, which is so unique. And we're going to talk all about it. So please help me in welcoming my friend, Petey Majik. Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Petey Majik doing camera magic at its best. Petey, thank you for being on the podcast. Please, make your way upstairs and tell us, who are you and what do you do?
Yo, what's up, guys and our viewers? Obviously, I am a artist. Is that what we say these days when you get sort of further into your career? I'm an artist. I'm an entertainer. I'm a visual.
I'm a professional magician because,
That's it.
I'm a professional
liar. And you blow on someone's mind?
Yeah. How long have you been a professional liar for now? It's been a while.
I think the technical term for professional is your first paid gig, correct?
When you accept payment for your services, you are a professional.
See that? Yeah.
I would say,
I guess so. Yeah. I mean,
maybe semi-pro.
There was a Mike Tyson bio that I'd read one time, and what's the guy with the crazy hair? I forget his name. His manager.
Don King.
Don King. Thank you, friend. And what he had said to him was, correct. What he said to him was, "You're a professional now. Do you know what that means?" And he said, "Like, because I get paid." He goes, "No, a professional will fight no matter what." And I thought that's interesting. So I took that notion. And I went like, I'm a professional, which means I will perform no matter what. So even if like I'm got a show that night and something awful happens, I'm still going to do that show because the world keeps spinning. So two different ideas on what a professional is.
Yeah. So, Petey, can you, because I know all about you and we're going to jump into questions, but for the audience that have just started watching since we won Fizzin, baby.
Congratulations. I saw that. Amazing.
Thank you. That's how we could afford to get you back on here. Could you give a synopsis of the audience? Yeah. Could you give the audience a little rundown of your career and kind of what the things you've been able to play with as an artist and do?
I think like all magicians, I started off, just your basic card tricks. Most of them were like mathematical self-working tricks. And then when you get into a hobby, you start to meet other people in that hobby as well. And that's when I met JJ and then a few other people along Queen Street Mall. I think Jason I had met at the time. He was a barback at a club that we used to go to and perform at as well. But he was already doing a little bit of magic here and there. Short hair, pimples everywhere kind of thing.
Yeah. And
fun dude.
Just to be clear, this began location-wise in Brisbane. Is that correct?
In Brisbane, correct.
Right.
And the Jason he's referring to is Jason Ma from the original Magic Guys. This is before
2001. Yeah.
This is Thin Jason.
Thin Jason. Oh, but actually, Jason had like a very sort of emo fringe, sort of just down this way. He wore black and he wore like the leather black bands. I have an old photo. I got to find it, but I'll send it to you guys, and you guys can do a throwback at some stage. So that 2001, I would say. I was still in university, so just doing it for fun. And then that was where a friend of mine, he was like, "Yo, there's a school carnival for grade 3s and 4s. Do you want to set up a table and just do some magic there? There's not much budget, but we can give you something." And that's when I went down, and it was $40 just for that 1 hour at a table. I sort of kind of half dressed up with a top hat, and kids would just line up and I'd just do 1 or 2 tricks, and then they'd leave and venture off to the next part of their little school carnival. And that was it. I spent the $40 on beers. So
that's funny because I had it in my head that it was like you being a child at the school carnival. And I'm like, all right, fellas, gather around. I'm going to get some beers. Oh, you're the best, Petey.
That was always my incentive to do magic, get beer.
But I think that was more, man, Baxil.
To say, someone has more cats than me.
This is Baxil.
Yeah, there
I've actually used her once in a show before. And
there's the boss.
And surprisingly, she was quiet in the box. So,
oh wow,
man, we got a guy in Vegas. Mondre finishes act with a Maine Coon cat production. This thing is the size of Texas. This big ass cat. Can you imagine wrangling a cat into any form of a magic production on a regular basis?
Does that make them a tax deduction, and every single thing you do for them is kind of like
absolutely,
technically, yeah, absolutely, for sure. I never thought of that.
The time allotted to shoveling the cat litter is a deduction.
That's a good time.
So was it a very small box or something? Or
you'll have to see Mondre's act. All Stars of Magic show at the Planet Hollywood. Come check it out. 4 p.m. Tuesday through Thursday. That's all I have to say about that.
Early slot.
So
I like a good early matinee slot.
No, it is. In Vegas, you can. What, Josh? Are you on this show today?
No, it's good. Sorry, I was trying to keep the interview part going, but I do enjoy cat info. Sorry.
Okay, so where were we? So at uni, and then like everyone else, if you're doing it around that sort of age, it's mainly to pick up chicks. Well, it's a great icebreaker, at least. And then Ali Wild, which you've done some gigs for, Josh. She was at that school carnival, and she's the one that came up to me and said, "Yo, here's my card. Give me a call." It was like an agent management company, Top Chick Management at the time, I think it was, but they did more circus stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. I don't really take it seriously. So I just took a card and put it in my pocket. And then later on, she saw me again in the day. She's, "Ashley, give me your number. I'm going to call you." And then I started off just doing charity stuff, street festivals and stuff like that, just roving mainly. And then she put me through like a workshop development where you just do a bit of stage presence and how to rework various parts of your act.
Tell us about that. Tell us about that. Because a lot of folks don't actually, that I know as far as magicians go, they don't really typically do a course, whether it be like an improv comedy thing or perhaps a clowning. That's one that I've really enjoyed in the past. Yeah. So let's talk about education in that realm, and also we'll ask what you did at university. But like, tell us what this workshop was about.
So I did like a 2-day workshop with a professional clown, if you want to call it that, Tom Grader, and he is a clown, but not your typical clown with your red nose and stuff. He was more theatrical, Mr. Bean type clown, sort of pantomime a little bit, doesn't really speak. He worked with me on specific magic tricks that I did where he didn't necessarily know how the trick worked. He would look at it and goes, how can we stretch that out to 2 minutes, 3 minutes or something like that? Because essentially a choose a card, find a card trick is just 30 seconds if you just do it in its A to Z, right? So he did exercises where he would take a whoopee cushion and a chair, and we're all sitting there, and he'd be like, what is this? Does anyone know what this is? Whoopee cushion. Okay, cool. What's its function? It's a prank. You put it under someone's seat and they don't know, they sit on it, makes a fart sound. So he said, how do we make this more funny? He said, I'm going to give you a task. He puts it on the chair. You all know it's there. I'm going to call your name out at random. And when you come up there, I want you to try and squeeze the air out of the whoopee cushion, but try not to make as much sound as possible. So then you got people coming up, and then they're kind of like, and then it starts to go, and that makes the whole thing even funnier, you know? Wow. And that whole act alone, or exercise alone, is like 2 minutes per person just to try to squeeze the air out of the whoopee cushion. So it opened up a lot of, I guess, ideas and creativity wise to stretch or sit on a moment in your trick so people can absorb it and then I guess go from there.
That's a really interesting point. I was many years ago, I was chatting with one of our top illusionists, Sam Powers, and we were talking about just certain illusions and like how they work. And he goes, if you want to get some time out of it, you need to do this. And the reason I bring that up is, let's say you have an illusion and it's like, for the most primitive purpose, Josh gets into a thing, a curtain goes up, curtain goes down, Josh is gone. That's amazing. That was $40,000, that illusion, and it went for 2 seconds, and now Josh is gone. So when you think about it like that, and you go like, well, how am I supposed to get, without it seeming like a waffling type, boring thing that's sort of dragging itself out. It's a really interesting thing to be able to do that, to like squeeze the entertainment value out of something as primitive as a whoopee cushion. So that's good. Now, you're obviously very highly educated because you did go to university. The question here from Tim Askin wanted to know, what did you do at university?
Well, I graduated and had a bachelor degree in marketing, advertising, and e-business. 2004 was when I finished. I only worked in the field for like maybe 8 months. I worked at a car rental company. I did marketing and sales for them, and then that was it. Magic on the side, and then eventually sort of just took that route. I think the marketing education does still come in handy today. A lot of stuff is still relevant, especially P2P stuff. All the online stuff is constantly changing, as you know. So if you're not posting often or regular enough, then you sort of you're not relevant to the game, and people forget you. So that's the hard part too. So as I've getting older, I get more lazy in posting, and I should be posting more, especially stuff with the show. But now that we have a marketing team that does it for me, I'll walk in and then the girl goes, Petey, we need to shoot something for the show. And I'm, okay, cool. And then she'll edit it and post it. And that makes things a lot more easier for me. But personal wise, I haven't done too much for myself, which I should. So, well, before we talk about like the show that you've been into, like there's a gap that I'm interested in. So you basically got an education here in Brisbane, in Oz. Then you went back to Vietnam. So explain that journey from going from like Brizzy, fooling around doing magic, and I guess you would have established yourself to some degree in Brisbane, and then you pick yourself up with nothing but your skill set, and then you land in Vietnam, starting from essentially scratch again. Tell us what that journey was like. So actually, we had a big opportunity here. So I don't know if you remember a few years back, Adam Murby and Selena on Australia's Got Talent. I think they came semi-finalists or maybe top 4 or top 2.
Yeah,
so I knew Adam.
Yeah, sorry, I was saying I actually went on tour with them to Qatar. They
nice.
took me out of their background.
But it's just Adam now, right? Selena's not performing anymore, I believe.
I think she steps in every now and again, but she's got a pretty decent career as a professional high-end DJ doing nightclubs and so forth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. but we should get him on the show, or at least Adam, and be like, "What's up?"
Yeah. So during that time, Adam, myself, and JJ got a call from Julie Duff, who worked in Channel 9 in Sydney for like sort of getaway type programs. So she called us up and said, "Hey, we want to put together a pilot episode, sort of like an ensemble of magicians of different sort of backgrounds and stuff, and then pitch it to Fox and see if we can get something going." So prior to that, I was doing the Warehouse show that Josh said he'd gone to, and just as much residential gigs as possible, like a family nightclub, the Eka, the Royal Show. I was doing a lot of just that sort of stuff, the occasional morning show appearances. Then when this opportunity came up, we went down to Sydney, we shot this pilot episode that was like maybe 9 minutes of just walking around the street, Darling Harbour, and doing some street magic. And that was during the era of like, I think still Blaine, Chris Angel and stuff. So that stuff was really hot, we're walking around carrying forks to do fork bending on the street, which is something you probably wouldn't do now. You would probably more just walk in a restaurant and do it. And we shot that episode. It looked great. I think I still have it somewhere.
I remember seeing the trailer. I can still vividly remember the trailer of you guys.
Yeah, it was shot. It was good because like back then you're not shooting with what we're shooting now. They're shooting actual on the shoulder cameras, So when people see that, they're like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And they want to be in the shot. I think we were like maybe one signature away from a green light. Like the CEO of the actual Fox network, he wasn't there. We went as far as buying a classified ad print in a newspaper for that day with a reveal. So when he was come through, we'd do this force, and then would say, "Hey, have you seen the latest paper this morning?" And he would turn to the latest paper, and then you'd see the card revealed in the print. That's how far it went, but he wasn't there that day. So then Julie was like, "Okay, let's just sit on this, and we'll see when he comes back." And then that's when I went to Vietnam, just as a holiday with my mum to see family. And my mate who was living in Ho Chi Minh City, he was like, "Yo, you should consider coming here, man. Like there's no one doing what you're doing. There is, but not in the street sort of style of that sort of caliber in a sense. And plus, if you can still speak Vietnamese, there might be something here." So I stayed for a week with him. I saw some opportunities because there was a lot of, there's a big expat community here. So I could maybe at least start off doing stuff for the foreigners already with the Australian consulate and stuff like that. Then eventually, when I came back, it took me 6 months to sort of make that final decision, pack 2 suitcases, and then go over there. And then while I was over there, I just did a small gig for Mercedes. It was like maybe $200 for roving. And like you said earlier, Nick, in our pre-talk, because I had to start over, so no one knew who I was. And then I eventually said, "Look, let's do a show, like a little parlor stand-up open mic type show, free entry," because we knew a guy that had a venue and he had nothing on Wednesdays. And I said, "Look, let me take that Wednesday night, free show. I can do a revenue share at the bar, like 15% of who drinks, whatever." So I did this free show. It was maybe 30 minutes of stand-up magic with just everything I had on me. And that was the show that landed me a TV contract. Because the TV network owners in Vietnam was there, and he was like, "Look, we don't know how we can help you, but we're looking to do like this sort of travel show where we can sort of show foreigners who come here different parts of Vietnam, like the Ben Thanh markets, the Reunification Palace, the museums. And if you can be that person that our 2 hosts will take you around, then you can do magic also at those places." So it was like a getaway sort of magic type show in a sense.
It was crazy to see from Brisbane, to see Petey go overseas, and then all of a sudden we see this trailer come out months later, like this epic looking trailer for a TV magic series. And we were like, "What the heck is going on? This is awesome."
Man, it was very overwhelming because even then I didn't feel my skill set was good enough or like polished enough. I didn't have any consultants. I didn't know any magic guys there. I only just met a few guys that did magic, and like these are young kids who were getting into the Dan and Dave cardistry stuff. So they're fully skilled in that. I knew like maybe 2 or 3 cuts that wasn't even that crazy, but I had to source out somewhere that had someone was selling magic props and stuff so I could sort of use for these episodes. And I only had like a 6 weeks to prepare to shoot 14 episodes. We shot 14 episodes in like 20 days.
Whoa.
So in Vietnamese at the time, 2011, that was when we shot it. They're very I guess dramatic in leading up to a trick. So like I get taken to this place where they sell all these pots for your plants, and there's different Chinese designs and Vietnamese designs as well. And I come in and I'm like, oh, these are really nice, you know, blah blah blah. And they tell me about different ones, and then I accidentally break one. Well, it was on purpose, but I accidentally break one, and then we restore it. And I didn't have anything on me, but I did have Sean's briefcase that you can fit a bowling ball in. And that was just sitting in the back. Like we just purposely sit in the back with the actual double pot inside it. And I would pretend to put the broken pieces in it, and then would open up and out comes the thing. So I had to make do with stuff like that. But on a street magic sort of perspective, it doesn't make sense that a briefcase is just sitting there in the back. But that's what we did, and it kind of worked, I guess.
That's amazing. Let's talk about like what you learned jumping straight into something like that, because I think that some of us who are a bit naive about magic, thinking like I could just do magic on TV. It's so much more if they do it well, obviously, you know. And I think, in my opinion, that's a brilliant idea. So like, what did you learn, or what are some of the biggest takeaways that you could share about transitioning from doing a comedy show, you know, on a stage versus doing it for TV and for camera?
I think for me, especially in Vietnam, number one was a little bit of the language. I could speak it, but I wasn't fully fluent. Like I didn't have the natural slangs and stuff. That was number one. Number two is the Vietnamese audience, the public. They're still in 2011. They're still very reserved. So as soon as they see cameras, they're kind of like, oh, I don't want to be on TV. Whereas I guess in the Western countries, everyone's like, oh, what are you shooting? And we want to jump in front of the camera. I had issues, especially when they're carrying big cameras and then, you know, big sound boomsticks as well. Like it's like a massive production going around just to shoot, you know, a small clip of magic. So that was a part that was difficult to do. And then just not having as much other magician consultants to help me with certain tricks. I did one where I still do today, is like a card to watermelon. And we paid this, like when you go to Vietnam, not so much now, but back then there's people on the street where they'll lay out like a mat and they'll sell fruit. So we asked this lady if she could set up where we were shooting that day, and we're going to come and buy a watermelon or choose a watermelon, and the card is going to appear inside it. Obviously you had to prep everything. And she was sitting there for ages. And when you shoot stuff on set, you could take forever just to shoot one small scene. So she's frustrated that she can't sit there making a living. So our director was like, you know what? Tell her we'll buy all her fruits for the day, but just sit there, you know? So I learned that production in a big scale like that it's consuming. There's a lot of people on board, especially for TV and censorship in Vietnam at the time. I was really restricted on doing too much card stuff or money stuff in Vietnam that involved some sort of devaluing or of the note, because like Ho Chi Minh is on the note, on every note. And I did the classic one where you get two different notes, you fold it, they put both in their hands, you take one out and they switch places. So that one got censored because of the way I folded the note. They didn't like that it folded across Ho Chi Minh's face, because there was like a disrespect thing. So then they even suggested, how about we do it with American dollars? And I was like, but we're in Vietnam. It's kind of weird if I just take out American dollars. So we still shot it. It just didn't go to air on national TV. But I think on YouTube, that's where the loophole is. And then like there's people playing cards regularly on the street. It was hard to just come up and say, hey, can I show you something with a deck of cards that's they're using? In Vietnam, it's like they don't want to promote that there's gambling or some sort of card playing on the street. So I wasn't allowed to just come up and just do something to those guys also, things like that.
Yeah, that's a little limiting, and that's the kind of stuff you got to think through. Hey,
yeah,
it's better now, but 2011, that was when it was the censorship was quite high.
Yeah, well, I guess going to a whole new country, one thing that all people should keep in mind is cultural limitations, and just the way that some things could be perceived. You know, I had a cousin who was, I think she was in Egypt or thereabouts, and she was going through some stuff, and it's 1,000 degrees there, right? But as a woman, you're not supposed to be able to show your shoulders, and she was wearing a shawl and taking a photograph, and as she leant up to take a photo of the roof, shoulders fell, like the thing fell off the shawl and exposed her shoulders, to which they wanted to publicly lash her.
Wow.
But $1,000 got her a bribe, got her out of the situation. So
is that clip on Pornhub or something?
Yeah, well,
because it's private, isn't it?
Yeah, Pornhub.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Lady flashes shoulder.
Yeah. Oh, so hot. No, but
lady reveals all.
Yeah, and now because of that, like, it is just one of those things, like you that people are kind of unaware of, which is, yeah, just something to keep in mind. I mean, like when we go to Vegas, you can go wild. Like, it's so hard to get arrested. Like, it's so hard, right, Doug?
Yeah.
Living proof.
Yeah. And like, what did you find personally, Petey, with street magic? Because you were, like, in my mind, the king of street magic in Brisbane. You could go up to anyone, you know, get a conversation going, show them magic. You had your own series that you produced with Sean Mogart in Brisbane doing street magic. And then you go to Vietnam, and I remember seeing some street magic clips, and they looked great. But what did you, like, straight away, did you have to recalibrate all your magic? Not even for camera, but just like when you would approach people like you would back here.
Yeah, I mean, like you couldn't sort of just, well, I don't know if it was like that in Brisbane. I can't remember exactly, but here, you kind of sometimes have to go, hey, can I show you a magic trick? And you kind of have to finish by saying, it's free. I'm not going to charge you for it. And then they're kind of like, oh, okay. And then you kind of be like, can I film it? So we've had to adjust, like you sort of start the shot from far away, if you're filming, that is. And then you sort of just let the camera slowly come in, and then they kind of just accept it, I guess. You know what I mean? So that was the only thing I sort of had to deal with. And then just Vietnamese, I think having a little bit of if they know who you are on TV, then it's easier for you to sort of, oh yeah, you're that magician, and then you can just do the trick. Whereas it's, when I first started, it was more like, oh, who are you? No, I don't have any money, that sort of stuff. But I do the David Stone technique where he has a coin. And I do this in roving still, and you sort of walk past a group, and you know, when they're engaged in conversation, you don't want to just sort of go in and perform. So you kind of throw a coin near their feet, and they'll look down at it, and then you go, oh shit, is that yours? Did you drop this? And you just do a quick vanish, and they're like, oh, and then you get into your trick. Is a good sort of way to just break into it.
Yeah. You know what? Someone needs to make a video of doing that so people can actually understand the dynamic and how that works. I've got the Meta Ray-Ban, so I might try that at a gig soon. And
do you like it the normal? It's the normal it's not the sunnies, right?
I use the the translucent,
they're not
translucent,
prescription,
the clear
either.
Ones. Okay. Yeah, so I wear these clear ones. I do have the shaded ones as well.
But they know you're filming, right? Like there's a light that comes on or no?
Yeah, and I'll tell them. But if I'm just throwing the coin, like to start off with, like that's from far away, right? So like I might film that. But yeah, with these, I always pitch this to magicians. I tell the group before I start filming, I'll be like, hey, you might be wondering what these are. They have a little GoPro in them so that later you'll be able to watch. That's just how I.
You should get like literally a little GoPro and go, look, see, there's a little GoPro.
Yeah. You pluck it out.
I think
see?
Actually, now I do remember. There's another good way to approach that I've been doing recently, and you kind of gotta have to come up. You gotta be a little bit sort of abrupt and sort of like panicky. So you just have one card, and you sort of just rush and goes, "Hey guys, quick, name a card," and then they'll just they'll say something, and if you hit it, you hit it. Otherwise, you do a quick top change. Boom. That's an easy way to get in. When you come in sort of rushed, they kind of go, "What's going on here? Quick, just name a card, quick." And then they kind of ace of spades. That's a good way to just do it.
Wow, that's interesting. I've never heard that, the rush approach.
Yeah, like just go in like, hey guys, and you let them see it, and then someone's gonna be like, oh, and then bam.
Interesting approach.
That's cool. It's like a pattern interrupt, is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious if there's any correlations between doing the more like TV style street magic versus doing street shows, in a sense that, like, if you were busking, you know, the notion is get him to stay, get him to pay, get him to go away type of thing. Like, Doug, I think you guys probably speak to this very well. Do you see any sort of correlations where it's like getting people to stop versus interrupting? Like, it's interesting.
Yeah, there's not really, you know, I remember when David Blaine hit the scene with his street magic special and all the buskers in the world went, that's not street magic. That's not how street magic works. And then, but look what happened is it kind of evolved its own art form, and kids around the world started running out into the sidewalks to perform magic for strangers. So it's its own thing now, capturing reactions in the wild for the public, but I wouldn't relate it to an official busker street performance. That's a more theatrical experience, I think.
But I think one thing you got to account for with street magic on TV is the camera is a person. You have to treat the camera as an audience person. Whereas when you see buskers, they don't have a camera. They're performing to this crowd. Whereas like with Blaine and stuff, or Cyril, he's like, okay, choose a card, show it to them. And he'll look at the camera and go, show it to them as well, as in them, as in us watching. We're part of it. And then the thing with the camera is you don't want to cut away too many shots. Otherwise people think, oh, okay, you cut away, you could have switched decks or something like that.
I'm thinking, how cool would it be if like a big production house took a swing at actually capturing what it takes to be a busker, you know, maybe featuring 3 or 4 street magicians and showing the real deal. I can't think of any show that has done that. Like, you know, A Day in the Life of Gazzo per se, or something like that. You know?
Yeah. I mean, talking about a travel show, like what better way than a busker traveling around the world, earning the money to continue traveling and documenting that and showing the different locations. I mean, that just seems like a no-brainer in theory.
Yeah, and if you put a few of them together, so there's some dynamic between, you know, the bros.
I think the only reason that hasn't been done is because buskers are a free spirit and will never nail down to a schedule.
It's a tough sell.
If I know Jason Ma long enough.
I have to be where on Tuesday? No thanks.
I also think that's where. Yeah, well, I also think that's where it circles back to the cultural connotations as well, because I know in some places, some busking friends of mine have gone to perform and it's like illegal to ask for money because that's considered begging, and begging's illegal and so forth. That's the reason why we have busking licenses here in Oz anyway. So there has been scenarios where it's like they've had shows then and got the crap beaten out of them by authorities. So is there anything of that nature that could have come into play in Vietnam?
Well, recently I was told that all the, you know, those static statue people that stand still, like we have that here on the walking street here too, and a few people that dress up as, I want to say Disney characters, but they look like Disney characters on crack because they're super skinny. They don't fill out the Mickey Mouse outfits. Some of those have been banned or like not allowed to do anymore. I don't know if there has to be a license here either. But I have seen the statue people with a box at the front, and then you know, people put money in. What I've done is, if you stand far enough from one of those statues and they're looking at you, you do the cards view, and they break because they don't expect cards to come out of your mouth, and they're like this, and they're like, "What the hell? I just saw a guy spew up cards." Done. As far as I know, I don't know if there's a license required in Vietnam.
Do you see street magicians in Vietnam?
There was a group of young guys that set up a table. Like the walking street it's long. It's like our Queen Street Mall, and you'll have buskers, you know, every, I guess, 20 meters, sort of all the way down, for everything from like a karaoke singer to a guy that's displaying live snakes that you can get photos with, a little bit of circus stuff, some jugglers, some people with segways you can hide, and then there was a group that did maybe four young kids that did magic, and they just did like a 5-minute set each. I don't know if they had any money that you could donate or whatever, but yeah, I think it was more for them to hone their skills. Yeah.
All right, cool.
It's content for them as well. You know, they always film it, so they post it up.
Yeah.
So you do the travel show. It goes well, I imagine. And did you end up doing a season 2 of that? I'm just trying to remember.
No, what happened was I think the company changed over, and what I did was I signed with that same production company to do game shows. So I moved on to game shows, and I had a segment on a game show where it was different type of game shows, but the one that I had the longest was they had celebrity guests come on, split into 2 teams, and I would do a magic trick, and they would have to guess how it was done, and they didn't have to guess correctly. It was just whoever guessed closest to a theory of how it could be done. And I would just say, yeah, they're the winners. I didn't have to reveal anything, and then they would win the cash prize. So I did a couple of just, the ones where you sort of trick them and leading them into the wrong answer, and they wouldn't be able to pick it. Like I did stuff with stripper decks as well, and they couldn't figure it out.
That's awesome. Because what I remember is Petey came back on a break between shoots and stuff, and we caught up. And when we caught up, he was getting recognized in the restaurants we were at in Brisbane by Vietnamese people that recognized Petey from movies he was in. And I think that was the first time I realized, I mean, I knew you had started to do more TV over there, but I didn't maybe realize the scale. And we're sitting at lunch and this guy comes up and like asks his son to take a photo, like a grown man, like a 50-year-old man is like, son, can you take a photo of me with, I think he might've said your character name or something in Vietnamese.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh damn, this is crazy.
I wonder if that film is still, if you can get on a VPN, like a Vietnam VPN, I guess, you could still see that film on Netflix here. It was the first film, but there should be an international series out, Vietnam's first horror short series, like 6 episodes that I just did a cameo for like a few months back, called Devil's Diner. That should be international. So if you look up on your Netflix now, and if you type in Devil's Diner, if that's on there, I'm like a couple seconds in an episode, and I do a little bit of magic. Well, not really. Actually, I just make something disappear, grab this girl's hand behind the bar, and sort of flirt with her. And I only got that role because my mate who was directing, who did the first film that I was in, he was the one that got the approval to do Vietnam's first international, I guess, Netflix horror series. So I came down. He loves whiskey. Devil's Diner. Heart Porridge is the one I'm in. Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah. So he loves whiskey. So I sort of just came down and said, hey man, congratulations on getting the gig. And we're just sitting there and watching. And then he was like, Petey, actually, I need you for something. And I was like, what? And he goes, can you do like just a small scene? Not tonight. I'm going to shoot here tomorrow. I just need you to flirt with the bartender because we need to make the guy that she's seeing jealous. So in that episode, you see 2 short scenes of me flirting with her, making something disappear. And then later I make a move on her and she slaps me like a real slap. And it was like 12 takes. So I was getting slapped 12 times. It was because she was like, every time she slapped me, she goes, oh my God, Petey, I'm so sorry. And then Ham's the director. He goes, cut. She goes, Lang, stop breaking character. When you slap him, you don't say sorry. And she kept, like, when she finally got one, she laughed. And then I laughed at one. And I was like, fuck. So then later, he pulls me aside. He says, Petey. Yeah.
Look at that. The boy Petey.
That's what I
didn't even realize. You're in Netflix.
He pulls me aside.
That's so cool. I'll just show the scene for a second.
Yeah.
So yeah, the bar scene. It looks like you even do some magic here. Like you look at that. Takes a napkin, wipes the glass condensation, gives it to the bartender. It disappears. Smooth, man. You did that so smooth. I feel like that's something you used to do back in the day because that was
a natural.
Yeah.
So then Ham, he pulled me aside. Goes, Petey, kiss her for real, because all he said for me to do was go in and make a move on her, and then she sort of pushes me away and slaps me. But because she couldn't get the slap and hold her character, he goes, just kiss her, grab her and kiss her for real. So I went in, bam, smack on the lips, and then she was like, slap me, because she couldn't believe it herself. And then she was like, what are you doing? And then it was like, perfect, cut. So I was like, fuck. And then she goes, oh my God. And then he goes, yeah, sorry, thanks. I made him kiss you, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
Were there any thoughts when you were moving more into acting that you were steering maybe away from magic? And was that like as an artist, a conflicting feeling, or were you happy to go in that direction?
I think so. I think what like I didn't do it full time, and I didn't have huge roles like some of the bigger A-listers here. I had maybe 2 films that I was like the main role, and that's tiring. Like, I don't know how it is in Australia, but in Vietnam, like, they're on a real strict budget. So if they need if they only have this much money, they'll have to shoot everything in a certain amount of time. And they'll shoot a full movie in 45 days. Whereas in Hollywood, it could take months, you know, and then you've got dietitians to try and keep you in shape if you got to stay the same weight class for the whole movie. In this one, it's like, and you don't get trailers or anything, you know, you're sitting on little mini stools as you do in Asia, and you're shooting through the night. If you're shooting at hotels, they've got to try and black out some time slots where patrons aren't walking in and out. Shooting at 4 a.m, doing a breakup scene at 4 a.m. or whatever. If you're shooting away, I couldn't really get, like, even if I had, like, let's say I shot today and then it was 2 days later till I shot another day. If I got a gig in those 2 days, they wouldn't let me go because they didn't want the risk of me not being able to come back or something happening. So that was a little bit off-putting. And then eventually I just didn't take as many roles, and then just went back into corporate magic. And I just felt that was a bit more rewarding. And I just did a few cameos here and there.
Yeah, it's really interesting that, like, a lot of folks don't see that side of it. There is a movie that Jack Black did with his band, the Tenacious D movie, Pick of Destiny. And if you haven't seen it, or if you don't have it, I have it on DVD, and you watch with the DVD commentary, they comment on how filming took over X amount of time, and they actually get progressively fatter and fatter throughout the movie because there's catering, and all they did was eat. And like in the final scenes of the movie, they're just going like, "Oh yeah, we were really heavy in this show. Oh, I put on like 60 pounds." Like, there's this whole like conversation. But it's one of those things to think about.
All right, tell us now. We got to get to the good stuff of what you're doing now. So on the screen, people are seeing a show called The Mystic Night Show. How did that start? What is it, and how does it tie into Vietnamese culture?
About 4 years ago, just before COVID hit, I did this thing on a platform called Vibe G. So Vibe G in Vietnam is kind of like masterclass that you see. So there's people that go on there and teach how to make coffees and stuff like that. And I had a very short workshop to do just basic magic and sort of confidence building, public speaking type stuff. So I was on there listed to do that workshop. And then from there, I got introduced to a French Vietnamese guy who owned this art space. And if you've been to Vietnam, a lot of the venues, they're only 5 meters wide, but it goes like 15 meters deep. A lot of the housings are like that. So when I went into this room, I went, oh, this is kind of cool, because he had it separated with these curtains. So it's 3 little rooms separated with these curtains. I'm like, man, this is kind of cool. Imagine if you can do some sort of a magic show, but people walk through, and at the last room is where they sit down. So I spoke to him, my manager now, he's German Viet. We go, hey, can we do a show here? And he's like, yep, I welcome any show here, whatever you want to do, magic show, whatever, as long as there's some sort of Vietnamese culture. So then we sat down and thought, what can we retell that's Vietnamese? And then one of his staff, the guy who owned the venue, he goes, hey, why don't you tell like a fairy tale, like a famous Vietnamese fairy tale, like folklore story? And then we sifted through countless stories, and I sat on this one story where I thought, man, this is kind of cool. The story is about this king, the Hung King, who has this daughter, Princess Minu, who he wants to marry, kind of like Aladdin, but he had to find the best suitor for his daughter. So after culling and filtering down to 2 men who happen to be these gods, a mountain god and a water god, they come down, and then they would have this challenge that they would have to do in order to marry the princess. And it was to bring back 3 unique animals. And that's the horse with 9 manes, the cockerel with 9 tails, and the elephant with 9 tusks. Whoever would bring that back first gets to marry the princess. So we curated the whole story based around that. So when people come in, I would give the synopsis of the story at the start. We split them into 2 teams, a team mountain, team water, and they do sort of little games and activities to see who would win and marry the princess. And I incorporate magic into all of those parts of the story. Like not reveal the trick, but I'll reveal one part is with the horse, we printed out this sort of 9-piece puzzle of a picture of the horse, and we split them up into teams, and then we give them a time limit to do the puzzle. And when they finish it, I explain to them that the horse's 9 mane actually has premonition powers. It already knew that you guys would win purely because it has those powers. So I'll prove it to you with the card trick. So I put my hand on the horse's mane and I did this silly sort of, getting the horse's power. I'm going to transfer the power to me to know exactly what card you choose. I force them a card and I get it wrong through a hot shot. I get it wrong through a card change. And then I go, okay, look, what's the next animal? We've got to move on, see who's going to marry the princess. And then my assistant goes, hey, the horse, the horse can't transfer powers, right? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, the horse can't transfer, only the horse knows. And then when you flip the horse over, the card reveal is on the other side of the horse. So it's just simple things like that. Like I said, what I did in the workshop, one simple card trick is dragged out into this 5-minute act because there's a puzzle solving involved in it. And then some, getting some guesses wrong, and then the reveal. So that's pretty much the whole gist of the story. So I figured that the sweet spot for magic, for me here anyways, is trying to deliver it in a new way, because so much stuff is on YouTube, so much reveals are on YouTube. So another way to maybe reinvent old tricks is to deliver it with an attaching story. And it's great. Most of our guests are tourists that come through, so they'll look up things to do in Ho Chi Minh City, and then we're up on in the first top 5, I guess, because our ads are working. So we spend a lot of money on some ads, so they seem to be working.
Well, talk about that for a minute. Are you using Facebook advertising, or what is your
Facebook and Instagram? So that's where some of the content comes through, and it's just spamming for that week or two. I've had someone come through, and at the end of the show, when we do a little bit of meet and greet, I ask them, how did you find out about the show? They said, man, I kept seeing your ads on my show. It kept annoying me, so I thought I'd come and see what it's all about.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked, I guess. But like you said earlier, Josh, in our pre-show talk, it's still hard. When I run Friday and Saturday shows, sometimes Fridays we'll get boom. We can only seat 24 people max, but we average around about that 16 to 20 mark. And some weeks we get bam, Friday packed, Saturday 6 people. And then when we get something like 6 people, we've got to try and we will invite maybe some free of charge guests from hotels. Hey, look, this is what we're doing. Maybe we can do something with you guys at the hotel, dinner, show package, something. So we had to fill the seats to at least 10 just to make it a more sort of rounded off show. But it's still not an easy to get to that sort of high selling mainstream sort of shows. It's not an easy task. You either got to keep going through your list. Hey guys, have you seen the show? If you haven't seen the show, come see it again, or bring a friend. I want to get to the point where I almost don't have to do that myself, but it's inevitable. You kind of have to, I kind of have to post about it and stuff like that.
It's so smart to tie it into the culture so that you have the sort of the town backing you in a sense. And also
I was just going to say, in Vegas, it's very similar. The hustle is real for some of the smaller shows. Working the intimate venues, you'll see them, rallying the troops to fill some butts in seats, put some local magicians, giving them a call out to come to the show and so on. It's a necessary thing.
Last September, this time last year, we actually did 1 month at a different venue. That venue had 50 seats, but the only problem with that venue was, well, not the problem. It's just a venue with a stage. So people come in, they sit down straight away. So they don't get that walkthrough experience at our smaller venue. The reason why we didn't continue on with that venue is because it's an art space. So someone had already booked them out for every Friday and Saturdays for the rest of the year. So I didn't want to take Thursdays and Sundays. I mean, who's going to go see a magic show on a Sunday night, when people go to, we were in Vegas maybe, but
another magician. Yeah.
So we went back, but I did recently I have a contract with this new venue. It's Sono Bar and Grill Restaurant. So they have a small boutique style, I guess fine dining. I call it fine dining, but they like to call it elegant dining. So we did a show with them where I come out in 3 parts, and each of the magic tricks I do is stuff that's used in their dish. So I'll do something with the watermelon, and then something with, like, say, for example, here I've got this bag here. If I can just take this out, I've got this bamboo stick here on this little bag.
Nice.
So the old straw thing, but I've made it into bamboo
Cool.
because they've got bamboo in their dish. So
that's
that
so
was
clever.
fun to do.
Yeah, so essentially you're tying whatever the thing is you're trying to pitch to become to do magic there. You're taking the essence of what they are to sort of get them behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's got to be fun too, like as a creator coming up with
it's challenging. It's challenging, yeah. But I've really gotten into trying to somehow always incorporate a transpo in the show. Like we do a transpo in the Mystic show. Just a simple Copperfield style switch. But people don't realize it. And I realize that's still quite needed even in smaller close-up shows. You sort of look at it. Copperfield does this massive grand illusion show with multiple illusions, and then we have a segment where he does some card tricks, like his McDonald's Aces, which is a nice change that shows his skill there. So I always thought, why not? If we are the close-up parlor style magicians, we should at least add one big grand illusion in our show.
Good thought,
so to speak. Something big at least. So in the Mystic show, we do the switch, and it's a subtle switch. That's why I have the masks. It's the only way I can sort of, for a split second, draw people's attention away from me being the other guy in the mask for a moment, and then I'm in the other side of the room.
Because your costume is like, how do you describe the costume? It's like kind of like an emperor or like a
emperor.
Like a very,
actually, our marketing team calls us sushi chefs, because when you look at it, we look like sushi chefs. We both wear the same black emperor outfit.
Yeah.
I just have the extra piece out the front and the crown. So that differentiates me from being the king. The other guy, Theo, he has the same black outfit, but he wears his mask with a different sort of design, and he wears this other hat. So I have I have the double mask, I guess, and that hat too. So if I need to be him, that just goes on the top of me without wearing that king part, and I could be him briefly for a switch out, and I could go to the back, and then later it's.
Oh yes, I'm seeing these pictures now with the with the white painted masks.
Yeah,
perfect.
I only have the mask on at the start. That's it. I take it off later on. I'm the only one that takes it off. The other guy doesn't take it off, so no one actually knows who he is.
Yeah.
So
look, I love the intimacy of the venue, the audience watching you guys up close. It looks like it would just be a ball of fun. The website to go and check out the Mystic Night Show, is in the description of wherever you're watching or listening to this. But if they're in Vietnam, if any magicians go there on holiday, they're just going to the mysticnightshow.com to get tickets, or is a different setup over there, or? Yeah,
you can just go to mysticnightshow.com. If you guys come over, make a trip here, if we can plan it long enough, you guys can perform too. Like I want to do a night where Mystic Night Show, because that's the brand. Like the show is Mystic Night Show, and the show that I do is called Legend of the Two Gods. But I want to also just have multiple different shows under that. So like if we have a night of magic, then you guys would be more than it'd be my pleasure to have you guys feature on there and do a set.
We can change the story to like the three bald mountain gods or something, and it's like a different folklore.
Three Stooges.
Yeah.
There could be a reveal, like three of hearts kind of thing.
Yeah, there you go. And you could use you could build out a bald cap to be almost like a thumb tip working, where you could hide stuff under it and conceal it.
You take off the bald cap and you shove a silk in
there.
You're
onto something there, Norbito.
Yeah, I mean, all these people with hair are missing out on this opportunity, this real estate right here.
That's
could
cool.
be used.
Yeah, so that's been the work as of recent. We're trying to scale it, but it's been a little bit difficult scaling it. We've had a second team performing it. Not my show, but another team performing a different show under the Mystic Night show. But we've done like 3 test shows, and there's parts of it that I'm still not really happy about. And some of our guests who's come and watched it and give us the critique and feedback, they were saying that they didn't understand some parts. So we're still at the drawing board for that other magician. But that's the idea. I want Mystic Night Show to constantly just be running. So then sometimes if I have corporate bookings on Fridays, Saturdays, I don't have to. It can be run like how you guys have Theory of Magic, and it's always running regardless of you guys being there or not.
Yeah,
so that's the hard part, is to
that's
get
the
it
dream, right?
Yeah.
Is the show performed in Vietnamese? Like, I mean, if you have guest
No, it's in
magicians, is
English.
it English? Is it common?
I should do one in
commonly
Vietnamese.
Is that a common language in Vietnam? English?
English? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
because most of our guests are tourists. That's why we have it in English.
Cool.
But I should probably do a Vietnamese option. Because then that will open it up. The thing is that
the TV specials you did were in Vietnamese.
Yeah,
which
my
is
Vietnamese back then was shit house.
So it's interesting. The people that know you from doing magic locally would have seen you been doing it in Vietnamese. So yeah, maybe there's a split show option, or maybe
some of
they'll
those
just be
people who
aware
see
the
me
meta.
now, they're like, "Hey, your Vietnamese improved."
Right. Yeah, because now it's every day for you.
Yeah.
Petey,
well, actually, I still speak a lot of English, so yeah. Well, most of my friends here are Aussies as well, so.
Gotcha. We're wrapping up shortly, but we normally do a segment called gig stories, and I'm wondering if you have any stories up your sleeve that have happened in your career that are notable of a funny moment or like just wild that we could bring.
Did I tell you the slush powder one? I think I did tell you the slush powder one. You can
I
retell it.
don't
I don't think Nick knows.
Go on.
Great. Let's go into that segment.
So Gig Stories is a section of the show where we talk about moments of magic either while performing live on national television or mishaps with slush powder. Starting with the story from Petey. What happened?
So I did this wedding with Dr. Rhythm. He's a beatboxer. So our show was called The Magic Box, like street magic plus beatboxing. It was a magic box. And we had this box with just stuff that we had in it that we would use. So at the wedding, I did a trick with the bride and groom using slush powder. So I'd invite the bride and groom up, and I'd ask who wants to sit in the hot seat. So at that time, the groom was like, I'll sit there. So obviously, one cup has a slush powder in it. I pour water in it, and then I tell the girl to stand next to her husband, and I'm standing here, and I'll say, look, love is about trust, loyalty. So you have to trust me on this one. You have to trust each other. So we do the whole 360 turn, and I drink mine in her while her back's turned, and everyone sees it. The husband sees it. But they all stay quiet. And then I'll say, it's all about trust. If you love each other, everything will be okay. So I walk over to him and I tip my cup over, and obviously nothing comes out because I drank my water. And then she's there going, oh no, oh really, do I have to do it? Do I have to do it? And then I was like, you have to do it. But before I could do anything else, she goes, actually, can I just splash it on his face? And I was like, what? And then she went like this, but she did it hard enough that the slush powder, gel came out, hit him in the face, and it just crumbled in pieces down. And me and Dr. Rhythm, we're looking at each other, and then we look at the audience, and I kind of just went, oh my God, the water turned to gel. And everyone went, oh wow. And they just started clapping. So that was like the weirdest moment. So ever since then, when we've done that trick, Dr. Rhythm comes over and he'll hold the cup and help them pour it in case we get any more of those mishaps.
Hang on. If we dissect that for a second, she was fully prepared to just douse her husband in water.
Yes. Yeah. So that was that's unexpected. There was no way I could control it because she was like, can I just splash him? And then she immediately just went, bam. She probably thought it would be funny if he got wet or something.
For the video or for the bit.
Yeah. Hey, I got a little gig story here. I want to shout out someone. I work in a magic shop here in Las Vegas. I get to see lots of cool folks. This week I saw that Rudy Kobe was in the shop, Bizarro, Joseph Gabriel. But look who else was in the shop. This was a highlight for me. See if you recognize this young man.
to Jeff Price?
That is Aiden Moore, your current champion of the youth champion from the Melbourne Magic Festival.
Wow. It is.
He said, Dude, this kid is amazing. His skills with a deck of cards are freaking unbelievable. And hey, Aiden, I hope you're watching. You said you were a fan, or I hope you see this later. It was so good to see you this week. And freak, man, your card skills are crazy good.
Yeah. How old is he?
18. Is he that old, or not even that? He's a junior champion, right?
Yeah,
you guys have
actually. I told him to stay in touch because, like, I'm gonna put that kid to work. He's
no doubt
phenomenal. He's so well spoken. He's gonna be something great.
Yeah, he says he's a fan of the Magic guys. I hope you see this episode, Aiden. So nice to meet you. And y'all go find him on the social medias. Check out his cardistry videos. He'll blow your mind.
Yo, we're gonna have to get him on the pod. That's just gonna have to happen. Aiden,
yeah, good idea.
Tuesdays, hey, the skill sets are so wild.
It is wild seeing the new generations, 100%. And we also go for it. Yeah,
I was just gonna say a question. If you took the new generation today and brought them back in the time that we learned through books and VHS, do you think that they would learn as quick as they would today back then? Because I feel video instructions are too.
Because here's the thing, I was that kid. I was that kid learning from books as fast as I could.
Yeah.
And when you're on page 3 of Sybil and you have to turn the page, it's a speed bump. It's a hard road to hoe without the internet and YouTube.
Yeah.
But the creativity and originality on your patter would be more original because you're not sort of you're having to just create that yourself. I think is the advantage.
That's right.
What we went through. Yeah.
That's true.
That's why we're all so good. Oh wait, you guys are the internet generation. Never mind.
We got a friend from Australia, friend David. He's going to be in Vietnam in a few weeks. He said his hotel is right near your venue. Look at that. The podcast officially sold you at least one ticket. Petey.
I'll do a shout out on the show.
Yeah, David, we got to see that selfie of you two actually making it there. That's going to be awesome. And I also want to quickly shout out our friend in the chat, Herbert, who donated $5 Australian dollars to the show.
Is that an equal split?
That is. It sucks for Doug because he's in the US, so that will convert after the PayPal fee to about
32 cents.
Yeah.
Oh, 32 that's 5 AUD, is it?
Oddly enough, that makes my net worth 32 cents.
Hell yeah. No, we appreciate you, Herbert. That's so cool. We're going to find a good use of these donations at some point instead of just beer. But look, this has been awesome. Third time. I can't wait for the fourth time we have PD on when we just talk about the future success, or maybe eventually when we do get to do a guest spot at the Mystic Night Show. That would be awesome. Go and check out his show, check out his socials. They're all linked below. They're tagged right now on Instagram as well. But look, we're going to leave and finish our episode in the way that we always do, which is by giving our guest the final word.
What's up, guys and viewers of the Magic Guys? My final word for you is recently someone asked me, should I take up performing or be an artist or a magician, whatever? I jokingly said no. It's a lot of agony, it's a lot of struggle. But honestly, I'll tell you this: if you stick to it and it's passionate, it's in your drive to want to perform, I promise you, if you stick to it and go the hard yards, it's very, very rewarding. And that's all I got to say. Stick to it.
Thanks for listening. It's time for us to disappear now. But we'll see you again on the next episode of The Magic Guys.